Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse, the Tuesday, November 18th edition of the Daily Pulse. I'm your host, Teddy Panos, coming to you from the WellPoint Studios here in chilly downtown Lowell, but always red hot in the city of Lowell when it comes to news and politics, and today, even sports. And that's why we are here on the Daily Pulse, the show that keeps its finger on the pulse of Lowell and the world around it, to talk about all of it. And looky here, back after, well, it seems like forever since we've had the Greek connection here.
Recovering from a few things.
Studios. Greg Pappas, back and looking good, man. You're looking good. You're looking healthy. You're looking vibrant.
Better. Yeah,
there were a couple of times there we talked over the phone, and I'm like, ooh, Greg sounds like,
it was rough.
Sick.
It was a rough go, but it worked out well.
All right, good. Well, you look great. You sound great. You always have lots of great information, and I'm really interested to pick your brain about a couple of things going on here politically. The recount, which now we know a lot more about after last night's election commission meeting, and then, of course, the state senate race, which will be the next thing. Maybe. Maybe your successor, Will Rosenberry, will have to worry about a recount.
Yeah, I don't think so. But that's another story.
But so much happening, and some breaking news regarding Lowell's next baseball team that's going
interesting.
Back to the future. First, let's thank our Daily Pulse sponsors, Ray Booten, licensed realtor in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, certified appraiser in both states as well. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, or a commercial property, get in touch with Ray today. Find him, realestaterayBooten.com. That's realestaterayBooten.com. And speaking of breaking news, last night at midnight, it went live on the MLS, the real estate selling site there. Ray Booten is listing Cody's Market in Lowell on Salem Street. Yeah.
Wow.
Not just Cody's Market, the business, but Cody's Market, the building as well.
Wow.
It's on the market. We posted it at about 8:30 last night. Already over 70,000 people have seen that post on Facebook.
Wow.
Folks are either feeling a nostalgic connection to the place, or they're interested in buying it. So get in touch with Ray Booten, realestaterayBooten.com today. Thank you as well to our friends at WellPoint. WellPoint is the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members at WellPoint. Your whole health is their whole point. Thanks, WellPoint. Thanks, Ray. Thank our other sponsors in a little bit, but let's get to it with Greg Pappas. The baseball news, the new Lowell Spinners.
Right.
It is now the cat's out of the bag. We yesterday we stumbled across the old Lowell Spinners Facebook post.
Okay.
Somebody sent me a screenshot of it.
Yep.
And it was this Lowell Spinners, the old logo, except underneath it didn't say Red Sox minor league affiliate. It said Futures League baseball team out of Lowell, Massachusetts.
Wow. Cool.
So we did a little more digging and found out local ownership group is getting the team. John Croto, known from his Maycom days. I believe he headed Maycom from 2012 to somewhere around 2017, 2018. The story is on InsideLowell.com, by the way. Okay. And by the time you're watching this podcast, which drops at noon, the press conference for the official unveiling will have taken place at the Songus Center in Lowell. But baseball is back in Lowell. The Lowell Spinners are back in Lowell. And there is another local baseball connection to that, because the co-owner there, along with John Croto, is a gentleman named Mark Duchesne.
Yeah.
Drake-it kid.
Yeah.
Played his baseball at UMass Lowell, played 13 years of minor league baseball, including 3 of them with the Boston Red Sox, the Portland Sea Dogs and the Pawtucket Red Sox. If I'm not mistaken, he might have been like a bullpen coach or catcher or something for the Red Sox as well. But he started a bunch of youth sports organizations, baseball and softball organization, including the Junior Spinners, which are now called, I think, USA Prime or whatever.
Okay.
He's kind of branched it out across the country, but we've got local owners.
That's the key thing.
Which is
important. That's going to be good.
Yes. We've got a kind of a historic, nostalgic connection to the Lowell Spinners. It's not Red Sox minor league affiliated baseball, but it's a good level of baseball. That Futures League. There was a kid pitching for the Dodgers, by the way, appeared in 3 World Series games, who is a Futures League alumni. Emmett Sheehan was the kid's name, and his teammate Ben Kasparius didn't play in this series, but he pitched in the last one for the Dodgers. So It's a decent level of baseball. And it's coming back to Lowell. It's May 26th, May of 2026, I should say, at LeLatcher Park. So good stuff.
That's
positive development news,
again,
Greg.
the local owner thing is big. They're not playing for Joe. They're going to make it work.
Yeah,
These guys are going to make it work.
I don't know where Croto was originally from, but again, we got to know him here in Lowell Macomb. He also then founded. He's been in tech his whole life. He founded a company called Pison, P-I-S-O-N, out of Boston. It's another high-tech company, which ironically Mark DeShane works for him there too. So there was, the connection, and now here they come. They're coming into Lowell. They've signed their lease agreement, I would imagine, with the University of Massachusetts Lowell, which owns the LeLatcher Park.
Named after the great representative Ed LeLatcher.
Ed LeLatcher,
great guy.
I
miss him.
Yes, and the legacy will continue with his great his grandson, who's also a great guy. Not Lowell.
Right, and his aide Joe McNamara. Another they ran the marketplace when I was a kid before they were reps and aides.
Joe from Eastern Salt.
I used to always say Eddie LeLatcher taught me how to read. I've
been trying to get Joe to do a podcast forever because he's one of these sneaky politically tied in guys. He told me about working for Marty Meehan way back in the day and all sorts of stuff. Like, Joe, you've been coming here to the Athenian forever. Why did I not know this stuff? He won't come on and do a podcast.
He's a great guy. He was a good aide for Ed. Ed was a solid rep. He was probably the most popular one in Lowell for many years, and he just did his stuff. But when he had the market, when I was a kid living in, which was Julian Steele, wasn't Julian Steele at the time, my mother used to sit me at, she'd go into the market on Gorham Street and leave me at the counter with Ed, who was ringing and he'd hold up Campbell's soup cans, cream of chicken. So I was 3 years old and I could read Campbell's soup cans. Representative LeLatcher. That's what kind of guy he was.
Well, to this day, people talk about how if you didn't have money on you at the time, it was Wednesday, the paycheck didn't come until Friday. You'd go into the store, you'd buy the stuff, you'd put it on credit. And sometimes if he had to lose that slip because he knew you were struggling financially, he would, we lost the bill, I'm sorry, we'll get you next time.
And he was very, as a state rep too, out of all the guys, and ladies that I work with down here from the Lowell area, Ed was really effective, and he was very close to Paul Salucci. And matter of fact, I'd seen them hanging around a lot together, and because they were reps together too. But I can't say enough about that. That's great. This baseball thing's gonna be good. So good stuff.
Yeah. Baseball back at LeLatcher Park. We now know the Spinners are back at LeLatcher Park. We know about the ownership group. It's local, which is vital. Really important. I know that was a big point of emphasis for the league as well, and for the folks over there at UMass Lowell. So we are excited about that. The other bit of news, if you go to InsideLowell.com, you'll see our new AI, our new artificial intelligence correspondents named Artificial and Ellie Jens.
I went to bed early last night, so I didn't see much of anything yet.
So AI is a wonderful thing. You can take a meeting. So we took the Lowell Telemedia broadcast the Election Commission meeting last night.
Okay.
I inserted it into AI and it wrote an article for me. It also created a podcast for me as well that I may pop out. Artificial intelligence is incredible. Of course, I might have wasted, 30,000 gallons of water and whatnot to do that, but hey,
they'll come up with the new power source, which they are working on.
They already have.
Cold fusion.
Nuclear and
portable nuclear power plants now.
Carbon capture.
They're going to drive up in pickup trucks with portable nuclear power plants now.
It wasn't that The Dark Knight Rises? Remember the final Batman movie with Christian Bale, the nuclear reactor being transported.
Well, they got a company that does that. That drives small mini nuclear reactors now. So
they sure do. But it is now confirmed the recount in District 3, Belvedere. Dan Finn, Belinda Duran, Dan Finn petitioned for the recount, and it was granted. He got the signatures that he needed, which, by the way, is a really low threshold. All you need is, 10 signatures from a district, or is it 50?
You need 10, but for city council, you need 10.
City council.
But you always get more in case they're not. You get 15 is what you usually do.
But that's a really low standard.
Oh, yeah.
You can get 10 here, friends and family who are registered to vote.
Yeah, it is.
So so that was easy to do. I mean, no doubt that he was going to be able to get the signature. Right. It was a close race. Right. The difference is 4 versus 10. Will kind of explained that last night. There were some hand-counted ballots that couldn't be run through the machine on election night.
Well, why didn't they hand count them?
They did, but for some reason they weren't run through the total. That was one of the questions I had.
They got to figure that one out, because I know his attorney's Dennis Newman, Next to Galvin, Arthur Sullivan, Dennis Newman, they're the best in the state. If that was, I thought maybe there were provisionals.
No, there were no provisionals, I guess, in that area.
There you go. And then we're no overseas. So that they better, Dennis will figure it out. I mean, that's going to be, I can see a challenge there, because why weren't they hand count? Like, you know, I had one issue with that ward at the last election, and I don't want to talk about it, but the police, thank God the Lowell Police Department straightened it out.
Interesting.
Yeah, late at night. Yeah, they straightened it out.
Huh.
I wanted to choke out the person running it, but you know, unbelievable. You know, and
Wait, you're gonna put that little morsel out there?
I don't know if he still is, but man, I was so like, what are you doing? What he left behind was like, I'm not. Are you okay? Are you serious?
All right. So,
anyways, we'll leave it at that.
Interesting, because there was something revealed last night, but we'll say. So you mentioned Dennis Newman is the attorney that Dan
Great
Finn hired. He was there last night. Dan Finn was not. Dennis Newman represented Lori Trahan in 2018 in her recount with Dan Coe.
Right. I go back with Dennis 30 years. I've watched him with Galvin do. There were only really 4 attorneys. Arthur Sullivan, Bill Galvin, Billy McDermott, we lost about 7 years ago. He got hit by a car down in South Boston. God rest his soul. And Dennis Newman, it's really good at it. And I did 34 recounts with Galvin before he was Secretary of State.
Okay.
So I know how they work.
So Belinda Duran was there last night at the meeting. Her attorney is a gentleman named Jerry McDonough, I'm told. That
sounds familiar.
Is that a recount, or is that an election laws attorney that you know or whatnot? Or?
Jerry McDonough.
I know absolutely nothing about him, but I know he's the one I was told.
I've never heard of him. There's just some that will just stand out that everybody tries to get. Yeah.
So the recount will officially commence at 9 a.m. on Friday morning, but
on Friday.
It appears Will Rosenberry was listening to the podcast yesterday when I begged him to not start counting the ballots till after 12, so that I could do my Daily Pulse live and then get over there in time. And I guess so. It's a long process, because what they have to do is they have to, and everything has to be formal, upfront, witnesses. All the ballots have to be brought out of wherever they are now, the vault, the safe, whatever the heck you guys call it over there at City Hall. They have to be separated into stacks of 50 based on the 4 different precincts in there, and then set aside on the tables.
Well, that's because the way you used to hand count were about blocks of 50. So the paper what's going to happen is there's going to be 4 tables. What are they doing in the mayor's reception?
They're doing it in the mayor's reception.
Makes sense. So you're going to have 4 desks, 1 for each precinct, right? There's 4 precincts. You're going to have an election person on this side that will flip the ballots, and they'll say 1 for Finn, and the person on this side is going to have the block of 50. They're going to count them. Okay. They're going to mark them down.
And the person on the other side will also have to say, okay, that says Finn or that says Duran.
Yeah, there'll be another election person.
Right.
So you're going to have 8 election people.
If there's a disagreement,
right,
how does it get settled?
Well, that's what happens is, so you have the attorneys will float back and forth. You should have 4 people. Finn should have 4 good people, and she should have 4 good people that know how to look at a ballot. So you're standing over the ballot, and you challenge, if there's a transposition, like a person, no, you said Finn, that's actually for, no, that you said her, I keep forgetting her name.
Belinda Duran.
Belinda. If that's Belinda, no, you meant Finn, or that person on that side says, you marked it down at Finn, you didn't mean you meant to mark it down, or that way. The other thing is to challenge the ballots themselves. You got to know how to challenge the ballots. So
this is why it was important for me to have you on here before Friday. What would make somebody challenge a ballot? Computer technology is pretty good, right? These things are run through the machines. Yeah. The assumption is these machines are, 99.99% accurate?
They read the oval.
They read the oval.
Right. But what I learned from Galvin and Dennis and guys 30 years ago, here's Teddy, here's me. Somebody puts a mark outside the oval, the machine's not going to read it. If I'm on Teddy's side, let's say
you're one under the other, right?
Well, let's say it's Belinda and Finn, and then Belinda. What's the Finn's first name?
Dan Finn, Belinda.
So Dan, and then Belinda. The oval's right there, right? Somebody marks to the right side of the oval. It doesn't mark the oval, but to the right side of the oval. If I'm Dan Finn and I can see that dot is closer to me, I know what a judge is going to do. He's going to take a ruler and measure that thing. He's going to give the vote to me. So I'm going to go challenge. And if you challenge, the lawyers come over, Will comes over, that ballot's challenged, they put it in a bag, right?
Okay.
And the bag will go to court later. And that's how those extra ballots get added in. Outside the oval, the judge will use a ruler. But a lot of people don't know that. So you better train your people.
So how many of these ballots would you anticipate out of 2,300 votes? There were 2,300, and with the addition of the new numbers, I believe it was 2,307 or 2,317.
Well, first of all, those additional numbers are going to be questioned by Dennis, I'm sure. I don't understand how those didn't get counted. Hope they're not counting them double. And the other thing, they've got to find out from the warden whether they weren't sent during the day, and why didn't you put them through the machine? They weren't people bringing them into the place, right?
All
those questions that Dennis is going to question because it's on Belinda. So that's a big issue. Those could get thrown out. You know, who know how that could be judged. He could challenge them, and the judge could say, "Nope, we don't know for sure why you didn't count them. Throw those out." And the judge's final decision, because it's going to come down to a judge. What was the point? I'm sorry, you was one.
No, just what goes into what would make a ballot not valid, or a vote that was tabulated for somebody, and how would you know who the vote was tabulated for? Because once they run through the machine, you don't know how the machine tabulated those.
Right. Well,
that's why how they tabulated all 2,300.
That's why they're doing the hand count. So they stop at 50 when they're doing this. This stack goes over here. Now the whole 50 might go over here. There might have been 3 challenged and went into a plastic bag. Those 3 are going to go to court later on. So
are they included in the tally? Or when you do the tally for that batch of 50, you only get 47 votes.
No, because you might have had a blank, and yeah, you would have only had 47. You might have had a blank with the darkened thing outside, or a check mark outside. Like I said, a judge will measure which one's is closer to it.
Now, a check mark, just if you don't color in the oval, but put a check mark, ultimately that will be counted as long as you can determine the intent of the voter, right?
The intent of the voter is the fact that judges usually, any judge that I've ever dealt with will say, it was intentional that this person meant the vote. That's how I'm taking it, but they missed the oval. So I'm going to take a ruler and see which one they're closest to. It's closer to Finn, he gets it. It's a half a centimeter away. Hers it's 2 centimeters from here.
You've seen this play out.
Superior Court. I was there standing with Galvin and Arthur Sullivan. Right. That's why Arthur Sullivan beat Bill Galvin before he was Secretary of State. And Arthur Sullivan, I told you, they became real close friends after that.
Okay. So then it will be, the tally will be made, and we may have a definitive outcome unless there's enough challenges or whatever. How accurate are those machines? And I'll tell you why I asked, because I remember in 2023, or was it 2023 or 2024? One of the most recent election years, I think actually it was probably 2024. The Secretary of State's office, Bill Galvin, randomly picks bunch of municipalities to audit.
Right.
Lowell was chosen in 2024, if I remember correctly, and passed with flying colors or whatever the word is. So what does that audit tell you? How accurate the machines are?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the election. But I'll tell you, it really comes down to the company that's running it with you, working with you. And the company that used to be in Methuen that moved over the border to up into Salem, which, basically probably driven over the border because of Massachusetts policies. That company, is it LHS? Yeah, they're really good. They're right there for us. All the questions, they're right there for all the. They even send us people to the cities on election day to work with us. Yeah, so if you don't have a good team like that, like in Arizona, where they were just found 230,000 ballots from a heavy Republican in 2020 from a heavy Republican county that were counted blank when they were not blank. That's programming.
Careful, you're gonna get a warning label.
I don't care. I'm just dealing with the truth. So somebody was playing around with those things, and people have been. I mean, look at the clerk. They already put Milwaukee half the election, which a bunch of them went to the can. So, over and over again. But this team is good. Their programming is very good. Plus, we have an election commissioner, Bill Murphy. I mean, I love Bill, but he's a civil engineer.
He's the chair, I believe, of the election commission, if I'm not mistaken.
He's a civil engineer. Bill's a Lowell guy. Okay. But I mean, he was the computer guy that was in the day that was test decking the machines. He's talking all this mathematics stuff, and Bill goes, "No, that's not going to work." That. And the guy goes, and then finally, this guy, Bill, who works, he comes over and goes, "Where'd you get this guy?" He goes, "He's brilliant. He's a civil engineer. Don't mess around. He's going to call you one. He's going to catch." He corrected him twice.
So you believe that of 20 300 ballots cast. 20. I think the
Yeah.
exact number is 2317. There will likely be some voting, some number of votes that changes.
Yeah.
That's just the normal course.
Well, we
course
said
of a
there
recount.
was 4 originally, right?
The difference was 4. They found 7 votes that they added in afterwards.
all
6 for
hers.
Duran, 1 for Finn.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm
which
not.
took the margin from.
I would be
10.
really surprised if I don't know the circumstances. I would be really surprised if those weren't challenged, and they let a judge decide if they should have been added in. But when you have 4 in a community like Lowell and Drake and stuff where there's a lot of senior citizens and senior citizens vote, you can have that issue, or even people with eye issues, you can have that issue.
Okay.
And that's where you usually get them, outside the ovals.
All right. So, are you going to be there Friday? By the way, are you going just to watch it? You're welcome to come as part of the Inside Lowell team. I'm going to be there. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I really wanted to go, and I was thinking of going. I haven't seen Dennis in a long time. He's a good friend of mine, but it's Will's game, and I don't want. People asking me stuff. Will,
yeah, that's true. That's right.
Will
you
knows,
having been the former election
and Will knows what he's doing because he worked with Galvin.
Of course he does.
Yeah, so I don't want to overshadow Will, and I'm not saying I would, but there's always that possibility if they don't like what he says, they come over. Well, what do you think? No.
So who are the people? How are they chosen? Are they regular election staffers, people who staff polling locations, who will be sitting at each end of the table tallying these?
Well, we only have 3. Actually, we had 4. I think one girl's gone, but I don't know if they've rehired the lady. If the lady to the left, if they got somebody else, but he would probably borrow from other staff people and train them this week.
Okay, so it won't be people, election wardens or whatever. It won't be, because there was somebody when we posted the story last night, somebody asked, well, how are you going to make sure they're not friends of the candidates who are determining this, or family members or supporters or whatever?
You could pull people from that group, but from other wards. You could do that too. I mean, there's some ladies, and I say ladies because mostly ladies do it, that are really, really good. There is good elected wardens as they would be election directors.
Okay, except maybe in District 8, the Upper Highlands. Because one thing that came out at last night's meeting, Will Rosenberry talked about there was an issue. And by the way, again, story on InsideLowell.com, written by our AI correspondents, Artificial and Ellie Gents, that Will acknowledged there was an issue in District 8, the Upper Highlands, precinct number 1, which I believe is out at the charter school.
The charter school
said there was a bunch of stuff that happened that shouldn't have happened.
Okay, did he say what it was?
He didn't get specific.
Okay. All right.
But my assumption is that there were votes counted. There were people allowed to vote who maybe shouldn't have been allowed to vote.
Okay.
And I don't know if those were pulled aside and not put in the total, or if they were actually run through the machine. But last night, Will made it clear that they are making changes at that particular precinct.
And that's what
my hunch is the person who made the mistake at that precinct is not going to be invited back for the next election.
And that's what I did. It was same thing that the person. There was I took
in District 3.
I took in District 3, which is the old Belvedere. There was a person. I took that person out and put another person in. Also,
in the middle of election?
No, before.
So where are the mistakes made like that? Because I'm trying to figure out, is it that they're letting people vote who shouldn't vote? Is it that they're not letting people vote who should be able to vote?
Yeah.
What's the mistake that would get an elections director to say, we got to make a change
Well,
here?
there's a lot of times it's attitude when they start like yelling at you. What do you do?
When they take the term warden seriously?
I've been here for, I don't care how long you've been here. Here's the bottom line. Here's the story. Nobody stands within the 150-foot rule. Nobody. Well, there's a guy out there now. He's standing, he's collecting signatures. Yeah, but he's not on the ballot. He can. It's the people that are on the ballot can't. I told you this at the hearings, at the meetings. A person called me up 3 times. She can stand out there and get signatures for a ballot question. She could stand right at the door.
Which they were doing. At the last.
Which you're allowed to do because it's not on that ballot.
Okay.
I said, so do not, before you have an issue like that, don't go out yelling at people. We don't want people being yelled. This is not a power struggle thing. Call here and we'll tell you to refresh your memory. That person's question's not on that ballot. They are entitled to stand within. If the person is on that ballot, that's a different story. And that's a thing that's hard for like a lot of people that want to run on stickers. Like in Drake out of the 9 precincts, I think 7 of them are at the middle school. Not the middle school, the Brookside School. But if you're running on stickers, if you don't mail them out ahead of time, you can't get to the people in the parking lot. They're within 150 feet. People are trying to go, no, you have to. Janie would always say, no, you can't. One more time, I'll send the police officer out, and then you're going to have a problem. So it's just making sure everything's run fairly. So, but those are generally the scenarios where it's obvious stuff, or they're letting the candidate come in and check. Send somebody else, and it's too obvious it's the candidate coming in to check they're entitled to check how many people have voted so far. Yeah, but then they stay there and talk for 15 minutes. No, well, people are getting their ballots in. No.
All right.
You don't do that.
So I'm going to just read again, and the story is on InsideLowell.com. And the story is titled Election Commission Addresses District 3 Recount and Provisional Ballots. The relevant paragraph was, again, according to the story that was written by my artificial intelligence correspondents, a significant administrative issue was brought to light concerning Ward 8, Precinct 1, where a large volume of provisional ballots were issued in error.
Yes.
Commission staff clarified that the majority, if not all, of those erroneously issued ballots were given to inactive voters. Staff assured the commission that the problem was identified and corrected on election day.
Yeah.
As a corrective measure, the commission intends to find new personnel for that specific precinct moving forward. Following discussion, a motion was approved to accept the list of provisional ballot dispositions as presented. So it appears that they were giving provisional ballots to people who shouldn't have had them.
Well, inactive voters don't get provisional. If they're still voting there, you show an ID, or it should be an ID only, but you can show a rental check or something, and you can give them a ballot. Yeah, that's like one of the easiest things you're taught as a warden is inactive voters reactivate by voting. But they have to show an ID.
Okay.
And end of story.
And they didn't. And they must not have shown an ID or whatever.
No, they probably didn't ask them.
Okay.
That's the whole thing. It's most likely they didn't ask them. Somebody was just giving them, you're inactive. But the provisional ballots get counted. Can get counted within the next 3 days.
So you've got 33 different precincts. Clearly the people who are doing this, and they're all, while not volunteers, that nobody's getting rich working election day for the city of Lowell. Clearly none of them are not election experts like Will Rosenberry, like you. Is there one warden per polling location, or one warden per precinct? So you now have 33 wardens
technically have
who make these decisions.
Yeah, you technically have 6 people per, a warden, a clerk, and 4 whatchamacallits, but you always add a couple more because you need breaks and stuff like that. Yeah. It's per precinct. But
how intensive is the training to become one of these
we
wardens?
usually do 3 trainings every election. Will probably did them too. Have 3 different trainings, and usually we do them different for the personnel, and the clerks and wardens have a separate training because they have more responsibility. Okay. But stuff can be forgotten. But that's why I always tell them, any concept, just call the office. Just call the office.
All right.
I told you that one person one time, the principal came in and moved the whole elections thing into a classroom. I said, "What are you doing moving it out of the cafeteria?" Well, there was no school that day. I don't want it in there. Well, listen, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to call the United States Attorney and tell him you just put it into you touch something that you're not supposed to touch. You put it into a classroom that's not handicapped accessible. So guess what's going to happen to you? You'll be hearing from the federal marshal in 3 days. Called me up and apologized. He says, that ever happens again, I am making a call. And if I get 3 complaints, it is going to happen. There's nothing I can do about it. You're in trouble.
These are the kind of things you deal with on election days.
It's not your school. It's not your school. That day, it belongs to the election department. And now it's an act of war. You mess with elections, right? You know that story, right?
Well,
it's under Homeland Security.
Yeah, it falls under Homeland Security.
It's like bombing bridges, the infrastructure of the country. You mess with election, it's a local election. All elections come from the United States Constitution. They're all federal, technically.
So to recap, while historically recounts are not successful in overturning the results. It happens occasionally, but it's not the norm. You believe it is worth doing it, especially when you hear about
for the 4, when you added those other ones, that stretches a bit. For 4, because you're really only going to turn around if you turn around 3.
Right. But you believe that we may see the attorney for Dan Finn, Dennis Newman, question those extra 7 ballots.
I'm sure he will. But I'm not speaking for Dennis. I just know I would, so I learned from those guys,
All right.
I mean, we did 34 recounts, and and then the other thing is, again, the transposition era. When, God rest his soul, Bob McMahon, a big family in Lowell, was sitting next to me, and we're in Dunstable, and all this stuff came out. It was Bobby Kennedy's thing, and
the one that was decided by one vote, ultimately, right?
And it ended up being 35,715 to 35,714. Never forgot that one.
Wow.
That was years ago. So, anyways, but Bob heard when they were writing it on the thing, he said Connolly 30, Kennedy 35, Connolly 34. Or whatever,
Or
to
vice
equal
versa.
50, right? And the person wrote it down the wrong way. Bobby was watching. He said, "No, you wrote that wrong. It's Bobby Kennedy Connolly," and that's where it was caught. It wasn't the ballots. It was just writing it down.
transposition
There's so
error.
many places where errors can be made.
Okay, but so what's more accurate, the hand count or the machine? You find
Always more accurate, the hand
The
count.
hand count is always more accurate.
Yeah, because you're gonna have
even if you have transposition or transposition errors.
yeah, because machines can't read outside the oval. And that person has the right to vote. The judges, and if they were a little outside or a lot outside, they're going to give every consideration to the voter, and that's what should happen.
That is the recount procedures, and I think it was stressed again last night. You always try to count the
Absolutely.
vote. Now, the battle comes in if the line is not completely in an oval. Where was it supposed to be? But how many of those would you get?
The judge.
Do you not know until you actually see the
judge
recount?
uses a ruler. Yeah, you don't know till you get to the recount. That's why you do the recount, and you'd be surprised. I mean, I remember one town in Waltham, I caught 5 with the dots outside, 5 with the check marks outside, and the judge, and I only challenged them. The other person didn't. The other person didn't because they didn't know what they were doing. I challenged them because I knew the judge was going to use a rule and say, "Okay, that's for Kennedy." If it was one I saw outside and it was going to go to Connolly, I didn't say nothing. If that person didn't, too bad.
But you would think Belvedere, District 3, these people know what they're doing on election day, right there. Out of and no disrespect to any of the other voters in Lowell, but the ones who probably need the least instruction and the ones who are probably best able, most successful in doing it the right way. I would venture to guess, I'm stereotyping here, is the District 3 voters because they're familiar with it. They vote far more than anybody else.
I wonder how they did in Laurie's recount, and Laurie from Here's recount. How many changes, if there were any changes?
So I believe, if I remember correctly, she went from a 54 vote margin to 100-something vote margin after the recount with Coe.
But I wonder how she. with Coe, Dan Coe.
Yeah, Dan Coe.
So I wonder how if there were any changes in Ward 1 at the time, which is Ward 3 now.
Oh, interesting.
That'd be interesting, yeah.
Speaking of Dan Coe, he very, very proudly yesterday trumpeted the endorsement. He got an endorsement video from former Vice President Kamala Harris.
Beautiful.
I thought he was trying to win the election.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's running. Yeah, and I guess one of Seth Moulton's aides is running too. And
there's a lot of people apparently running in that race.
Right, but good luck to them because they're all running on the wrong issues.
All right, so Friday morning recount. We'll talk more about that in coming after the recount with Greg Pappas, especially if anything new or exciting happens. There is another election, though, that while they're doing the recount, Will Rosenberry is preparing for. I want to pick Greg's brains about that one because that election includes, Drake, his town, and other communities that he's very familiar with. And how will they play into the election between 2 Lowell state reps and maybe 2 other candidates who've run before? We'll get to all of it with Greg in a quick second. Let me just thank all of my Daily Pulse sponsors. Ray Booten, licensed realtor in Massey and New Hampshire. Find him online, realestaterayBooten.com. And again, his new listing, we just put it out there last night. It made the market last night at midnight. Cody's Market in Lowell on Salem Street. Not just the business, but all the recipes and everything that goes along with their famous dishes. And the building. The building is also for sale. So contact Ray Booten, realestaterayBooten.com. Thanks as well to WellPoint. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Washington Savings Bank, banking that goes the extra mile. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, quality and value at every price point. Find your perfect space with TMI. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to generations of families throughout Greater Lowell and Southern New Hampshire since 1925. The Greater Lowell Community Foundation, improving the quality of life in our communities through strategic, impactful philanthropy. And Francis E. Preventure Insurance, the agency Greater Lowell has counted on to protect its most valuable assets since 1982. Thank you to our Daily Pulse sponsors and all of our podcast sponsors as well. Thanks to Greg Pappas for joining us here. All right.
Fun.
As the Lowell Elections Office, Will Rosenberry, your successor in there, gears up for this recount on Friday morning. They're also administering an election for
and again,
state Senate special election to replace Ed Kennedy.
Right. And Will's, like I said, I know Will's done some recounts too with Secretary Galvin and stuff. And so he's well qualified for this.
So he's prepared. I am told Rodney Elliott sent out a press release yesterday. His team has met the certification guidelines in the different towns in that district. I have no doubt that Vanna Howard, the 17th state rep, 17th Middlesex state rep, she will have no problem getting her signatures. Those two will be on the ballots. Couple of candidates coming into what may have been a match race. At first, when Senator Kennedy passed and they announced a special election, I figured we'd get a lot of candidates. You generally do when there's an open seat special election.
But people don't want to serve today.
Maybe they don't want to serve. Maybe they don't want to run a campaign in February and March and have to run one again in August,
and the other
September,
thing
and
is,
November.
like I said to one of the guys on CAP, who works there, he says, well, if a Lowell candidate doesn't do as well, I mean, they can run, because you're making it sound like it's just a Lowell district. You got to go all the way the heck out to Pepperell. It's not a joke. And if you think, listen, Tully represented Lowell, the same district from Drake as a Drake. You can elect the person from Drake be the senator, and Lowell, the towns can outvote Lowell. This is how, it's not a Lowell seat.
So this is what I'm looking at, and this is why I want to talk to you. But first, there are two other candidates considering running. One, Jerry Nutter reported on Sunday, Sam Meas, ran as a Republican in 2010 for the Nikki Tsongas' congressional seat.
Right.
Ran as a Democrat in 2018 for Ratty Mom's seat.
Ran for state senate.
Ran for state senate in the Essex districts of Lawrence.
In Haverhill.
Yeah, he was originally from Haverhill.
As a Republican. And he also, now he's talking about doing this. And the interesting thing is, running Democrat, Republican, he changed his issues each time, too.
So here's...
It's really funny. I mean, look at how he stood on stuff, and he's done other stuff, and he's done other stuff. So
here's what's interesting with Sam Meas. I went to his OCPF page. He changed it from a state rep OCPF page to a state senate OCPF page. But his party affiliation, he put unenrolled.
Well, he is unenrolled. He's registered in Lawrence.
He's registered unenrolled.
So he lives in Lawrence. So why
And the deadline, September 25th, was...
It's gone by.
He cannot change to either party. So he's got to run as a quote-unquote independent/unenrolled candidate.
What he has to do is he has to get 300 plus people to go to the polls on primary day.
February 3rd.
Pull a Republican ballot that has nobody on it.
Write his name in.
Write his name in. Notify the communities. Write his name in write his name in. I don't know, Lawrence. I don't know what he's going to have, but
so there is a way, despite the fact that the deadline to change party affiliation, you can still get that party's nomination through a write-in vote. I did not know that.
Yes, you can. I know. I told you years ago, like Leo Foley did it one time. He was running for a state rep in Lowell. He got his signatures from whatchamacallit for state rep Democratic side, and people on the Republican side that liked him wrote his name in on the Republican side like 200 times. So he ended up having the nomination on both sides. So when it come time to go to Galvin, Conley at the time, Michael Joseph Conley, or it could have been Guzzi even before Conley, he would go and say, I accept the Democratic one I did, which we called, I don't take the Republican, which meant that a Republican couldn't run, because he had both nominations. Yeah, so that's how it works. That's why the amount of signatures you get is what it takes to get the nomination.
Okay, because I was wondering, does he end up on the ballot as an unenrolled candidate?
No, he would end up as a Republican, but good luck.
What, can he choose to run as unenrolled on election day and not have to worry about a primary?
He can pull papers and run as unenrolled.
Which that's how he set up his OCPF page. But
but the thing is,
but he could also choose to mount a sticker campaign and be on as a Republican, but he can't be on as a Democrat because he's not. Because there's an actual primary for that, and I assume he's not going to get.
Well, he could do the
He's not going to get enough write-in votes to beat
both of them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, again, I mean, just looking at the guy, I mean, is he a Democrat? Is he a Republican? Is he a Democrat? Is he unenrolled?
Is he a Lowellian?
Is he a Lowellian? Is he from Lawrence? Is he from? And like I said to a friend that wanted to help him, I says, "This sounds." I've met people like this in the State House before. They're opportunists. I mean, he might be a nice guy. I don't know the guy, but you know, the other thing I was looking at his congressional campaign. I mean, to me, the report on the federal congressional, he still owes a lot of money, like serious amount of money.
From 2010.
Yeah.
So
unless he cleared that up, but it's not showing on the federal report.
So
he owes people, you know.
So interestingly, in 2018 when he ran, there was talk about him not being a resident of Lowell.
Yeah.
But he listed an apartment on Middlesex Street in Lowell,
Right.
which interestingly enough was the same apartment complex where Riddy Young, who
Right.
was also running in that race, and has a home in
Right.
Belvedere,
Right.
where his family lives,
Yeah.
listed an apartment in that same complex because they wanted to take out Ratty Mom.
Right. So, you know, that whole issue with Dominic and the city of Lowell, and it makes people think of that, but that's a city election. But a state rep thing, state senate, now you're dealing with the state. When you sign your nomination papers, you're signing them under pains and penalty of perjury. If somebody challenged him on his residency and he was found not to be, he's in trouble.
Can I
You got some
change?
serious trouble.
But can I change the place where I vote? So you say he's registered to vote in Lawrence. You know
Yes.
this for a fact.
Yeah, I looked it up on. I was just when people started calling me, I looked it up on.
So Sam Meas is registered to vote in Lawrence.
Yeah, Janice Street or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever.
So,
I don't know.
but what if he's got an address in Lowell? He gave an address in Lowell, Merrimack Street address.
Yeah.
If he just goes down to the elections office, and by the way, Sam, don't do it till after Friday. Will's a little busy. But if he goes down, let's say, and he says, "Okay, I want to register to vote in Lowell,"
but he has to live there.
he's got an address. Can you question it?
Of course you can. If he's not living there, where you have to lay ahead 50% of the time during the year, if he's not moved in and living there, people see him still living in Lawrence.
But as we saw from the Dominic Lay thing, that can be subjective. You can get
not on a state thing. State's different.
You can do hanky panky in a city council or school committee race, but you can't do it in a state rep race or
state rep, state senate. They'll investigate it, and then you'll have the attorney general looking into it.
Because there's more towns than Lowell that are in play here. Okay.
Well, I'm just saying because it's a state race. Now you'll have probably somebody, the ethics commission, the attorney general, the state police. Who knows? Somebody starts looking in. They'll look into if they file a thing with Galvin about challenging the residency. Yeah.
All right. You were the first.
I wouldn't do.
You were the first guy to tell me Dominic Lay was going to be allowed to serve and he was going to win that legal case. You told me this.
Yeah.
But what if that particular case that happened with Dominic Lay in those circumstances, if it wasn't the school committee race, but instead was a state rep or state senate race, you're saying a judge would have voted differently?
Probably would have been stopped on the local level. On the state level. Yeah, I think so because they would have the vehicle, they would have had more stuff. The vehicle, the registration, they had them coming in and out of. You know what I'm saying to you. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Because the state is, towns and cities don't have as much to put up, and the consequences of the election is not. They consider it not as serious as being a state rep, senator, congressman, United States senator.
All right.
Unfortunately, that's how they look at it. But yeah.
Interesting. So potentially Sam Meas in that race. Virak Oy.
Good luck to him. Yeah.
Virak Oy, who ran for city council in 2023 at large in Lowell, unsuccessful bid, has pulled papers, is gathering signatures, but tells Inside Lowell he hasn't decided yet if he's running. He said it to me. He said it to Jerry Nutter.
Yeah.
He would be running as a Democrat.
He ran for city council, right?
In 2023. Yep. You remember Virak,
nice guy.
The elections director. Very nice guy from Middlesex Community College, etc.
Yeah.
But
like I said, I don't know Sam at all.
He's iffy.
But his track record is, but for Vanaka's,
he's iffy. But most folks believe this is going to be a slugfest between 16th Middlesex State Rep Rodney Elliott, 17th Middlesex State Rep Vanna Howard.
Right.
So we always thought, this is Inside Lowell. I know Lowell pretty well, I think. I somewhat familiar with Dracut, Tingsboro less, Dunstable, Pepperell, and whatnot less. Where is this race going to be decided in your mind?
I'm just from what I'm seeing.
Is it Lowell? As Lowell goes, so will go the.
I just really, be honest with you. How do I say this? I look at the fact that didn't Vanna endorse Belinda?
I don't know if there was an endorsement. There's thought to be a lot of symmetry between supporters of
what I was told,
Vanna Howard and
the story in the Sun was she did endorse her.
Oh, okay. So
I mean, and if you endorsed that candidate and they only won by 4 votes, when the kid Finn wasn't supposed to win the preliminary, he ends up winning the preliminary, and then he comes within 4 votes. That doesn't look too good for you. I'm just saying, that's in your district.
Well, I'll tell you, I looked at those election results, and Jerry Nutter, myself, Marty Laurie looked at those and said, that's, if that's a pretty good sign for Rodney Elliott. If he can hold his own in Belvedere, now he's got, he's a Pawtucketville guy. The conventional wisdom is he'll carry Pawtucketville,
Highland.
He'll carry Centerville because that's his district where he's representing.
He's
made connections.
Carry the Highlands too.
What happens in the city? Is it fair to say that it's going to be? It could be fair to say. Let's say, put it this way, that you're going to have close to a 50-50 split in Lowell, maybe 55-45.
That's a blowout, 55-45
in Lowell.
In any city, in any town. I don't think it's going to be that close. That's just me. And Lowell. You go to the towns now. Dracut replaced. We brought Dracut back in for
Dracut is in this district, a very conservative town.
Which was 18. It was with Lowell for almost 150 years till whatchamacallit took it out and then it came back in. So what did you lose? You lost Westford and Groton population together. Just about equals Dracut.
Very left-leaning towns.
Left-leaning towns back to a town that relates to Lowell.
And added Tingsboro back, right? So, and Tingsboro is also, again, if we go back to 2024, both Dracut and Tingsboro were Donald Trump.
Yes.
So it tells you it's a more conservative, not as far left.
But Dracut has more Lowell people than any other town around it. I mean, when Bobby Kennedy was mayor of Lowell and Dickie O'Malley was the vice mayor, every city council, all 9 of them had a brother or sister living in Dracut. Not a cousin, aunt, or uncle, a brother or sister. There's a ton of people from Lowell that live in Dracut now. And then Tingsboro votes about 2 to 3% different from Dracut, sometimes higher, a little bit, 2 to 3%. So if Dracut votes for Trump, Tingsboro's 3% higher. Then Dunstable and Pepperell, a little bit lighter out there, but there's still a core group.
Not a lot of votes there.
No, but everyone's going to count.
Dunstable and Pepperell come into play if it's a really, really close race, right? Then you really have to look at those numbers carefully.
They'll pretty much vote along the line with the towns. And I just think that, I'm looking, see, the thing with Rodney was, I know Vanna did these other jobs too, like we did. But
she worked for Nikki Tsongas back in the day when she had Dracut and all these towns.
There's a difference thing being a congressional aide in the district and being one in Washington. Big difference. Rodney was in Washington. I was back and forth. There's a big difference. That you don't get the experience that you do. But anyways,
all right. So how are these conservative towns, Dracut and Tingsboro, how were they going to vote in a Democratic primary where, in a general election, we kind of know they're going to be much more centrist than the rest of Massachusetts.
The Democrats and Dracut are very conservative too.
But are they?
Yeah.
Because in a primary, the most staunch voters, advocates, partisans, they're the ones that will generally come out in a low turnout primary. And when you have primaries in Massachusetts and state races, they're generally right around Labor Day. Or, in this case, a special election, February 3rd, right smack dab in the middle of winter where cold weather, potentially snow, ice, whatever, might be an issue, and mail-in ballots.
Dracut town elections used to be in March. But here's the thing. I look at it as that I'm looking at, first of all, when Rodney was Senator Shea's aide, right, back when you did a lot of things for people,
State Senator Phil
Shea, right. When he was his aide, when I was down there, he came in 8 years after me. When Phil was a senator, Rodney, he had Lowell, Dracut, Tingsboro, Dunstable, and Pepperell. There's people still out there talking to him. They still know him. They know him from that.
It's interesting you mentioned the Lowell connection in Dracut because you're right. My family moved from Lowell to Dracut. There's a lot of people, and I remember you telling me back when we were looking at the Ed Kennedy, Carla Miller, the 2024 race, we talked about Carla Miller, she should be able to carry Dracut because it's a very
but she had no money
town.
And she had no issues. She couldn't get the issues out, so they didn't know what she was.
But you also said to me that Ed Kennedy's wife, widow, from Dracut.
Susan grew up in Dracut.
So sure enough, Ed Kennedy, because I remember asking him, I said, how do you think you're going to do in Dracut? He said, we believe we're going to carry Dracut comfortably. And he did. And I didn't get it at first. And it was you who said to me, his wife Susan's from there.
And her brother, it was in the highway department for years. People know them. But the point I'm making, in this case here, Rodney's father and mother lived in Dracut. Rodney's father and mother sang at every St. Teresa's funeral. They were quiet. The two of them did. Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that.
They were very tight to the Lambroses. A lot of the Paquin, all these big families in Drake know them.
So you believe Rodney Elliott has somewhat of an advantage in these towns?
I'm just saying. I look at. I'm just listening to people around town now that it's all going, and all the politically active people. I mean, the names that normally don't work together they don't even know who she is. They don't know her really.
But Lowell is tending to vote a lot more leftist, which I would say would benefit Vanna Howard in this race, in that race anyway.
I'm just telling you, he's a state rep too. He's going to, Belvedere can't do everything. The Highlands and all of them, they're not. I just think, but I mean, go back to Drake. I'm looking at all names, people who I know politically get involved on the local level. There's tons of people. I don't want to start naming them all, but I haven't found. Every time I turn around, I ask them, "Oh no, I'm with Rodney. We don't know her, or she's this or that, or we don't know." No, Tingsboro, the same thing. Guys I know out in Pepperell and Dunstable, same thing. It's crazy. It's like the town committee, the town meeting in Drake. He had 15 people holding signs, and there were another 5 or 7 getting signatures to sign. She had 2, and people really very nice, but he picked up there were 14 or 15 people told me that met him there. There were former selectmen, former school committee. They're on board with him. They're going to vote.
Okay.
I mean, I think
so. You're giving food for thought. I don't want to say
jinx anything, but I think it's going to be a blowout. Be honest with you.
You think Rodney Elliott wins in a blowout?
Well, I do.
You don't think? I think I'm saying close.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. They don't know anything about her. They don't have a clue about her. They don't know what she did. They don't know she was a congressional lady. They don't know. They know Rodney. He was out there, and there's a lot of environmental issues in Tingsboro. He worked for DCR for years with Tingsboro.
All right. I'm going to bring you in as we get a little closer into this campaign.
I'm just looking at the people who actually vote.
I'm going to bring you and Marty Lorian because Marty's my predictions guy, and you just made a big prediction there. Not only did you predict the Rodney Elliott victory, you said not close.
It's not an issue of who she is. Her incumbency. I mean, she's a nice person. Maybe I don't really know her, but nobody knows about that.
You believe Rodney Elliott's past connections?
I mean, he was at the Democratic Town Committee meeting in Drake, and they started asking questions. She left. She had to go somewhere. She didn't want to answer questions. Obviously, is what they said to me. She didn't want to answer questions. She left. Rodney stayed for an hour and a half. He just captured that group of people. There are people on the school committee that are very left. They've openly told me they're with Rodney.
So this is so interesting. The hot button issue in Drake is MBTA communities,
right?
And Drake is still fighting it.
Right.
And I remember the ADU vote, where Rodney Elliott tried to get some kind of a local option in there, and whatnot. Interesting.
Yeah, and they know about that. And she voted for it, I think, right?
Vanna Howard, I think she was in favor of the ADU.
And they're not that blue. Let me tell you, that blue. There's a whole group of people trying to stop a big group down in East Drake. I'm waiting to hear that they're all on board with him next too. That's what they know her from, is not being consistent with following the leadership and not doing anything for her. So,
so now you know what I'm going to do the rest of the day today. Now I'm going to have to start calling my people and
call them
just to see if they're hearing the same thing because that's interesting.
I mean, I'm retired now. I'm around. I mean, I went to breakfast the other day and I ran into 2 guys who worked for a farmer, who were related to a former state rep, and they came up to me. Big guy, one worked for the town for years. He's very, very involved. The other guy's still on a board in town, very, very involved. And he said to me, he says, "What do you think of the Senate race?" I says, "Well, I mean, I'm kind of partial to Rodney." I says, "Because I know what his background is. I know he's a leader. I know he can't be bought out. I'm not saying she can, but he can't be influenced. He can stand up." I says, "The reputation I seem to see a bit from her is, well, like I said, I mean, one of the big things she talks about, she did when I was working in the city, was downtown Lowell picking up trash, doing the whole trash thing once a month. And that's wonderful, but I don't want to pay $110,000 for a state rep to pick up trash. I want them to bring in, and that's a nice thing.
I feel like I have to give equal time now to that.
Go ahead, say. I mean, I just don't understand that. I mean, to me, what are you doing? You're supposed to be, that's not what I want if a group of people want to get together and you want to get involved, that to me just doesn't, that shows you a leadership lack ability. So anyways, he has a stronger thing, and they turned around and said to me, "Well, we're 100% with Rodney." He goes, "Really? I thought you guys would have been out of it and would stay out of it." Absolutely not. No, we're not. We're involved.
All right.
And I mean, I can't find anybody that's not. And I'm not just talking Drake, I'm talking Tingsboro. Yeah.
All right, we're going to end it here. A,
Oh, here we go.
I don't want to get you into any more trouble. But B, I do have to head over to the Songus Center for the official announcement of that story that we told you about earlier on the Daily Pulse and Inside Lowell. Greg Pappas, good to have you back in the saddle again. The reason why you are not shy. You do not hold back. I'm
just telling you, if I could name a big name in town, I would say so. But I mean, Karen Fredericks is a nice lady. I like her very much. She ran on the school committee, served 1 or 2 terms in Drake, and then really,
which I didn't know.
But she wasn't a political power, and she never intended to be. She wanted to want to make changes and do stuff, but there's only like 2 people helping her out that I can find in the whole town, and they're not people that can get you a lot of votes. I look at the old family names, and they've already did a voting that will vote. And
so if your information is correct, then for Vanna Howard to win that race, she needs to win Lowell comfortably.
Comfortably, she needs to blow them out in Lowell because the towns are, and it's not going to happen.
All right.
I just don't see it. I mean, he's got too much more to offer than I think she does, to be honest with you. And she has 2 precincts in Tewksbury, which doesn't help her any either.
Well, I think we know. I think we know who Greg Pappas is.
Well, just be supporting. It's not a matter of that. I mean, even if I was neutralist, I'm telling you the truth, and I am kind of like I said. I want to go say something, but the bottom line is, I can tell you. Any idiot can figure this out that really understands politics, can figure out, see what's going on. And when I talk to families in Lowell too that I know, they're saying the same thing. Oh, no way.
Apparently, I was one of those idiots. I got to start making those calls.
Yeah, I mean, I don't make the calls. I just talk to people. I get tons of calls a day, and they start telling me, "What do you think of this? What do you think?" Really? Yeah, and my sister's really? Wow.
Greg Pappas, we'll get you back in here with Marty Laurie soon. Good to have you back.
Yep.
Stay healthy,
Sorry,
my friend.
I hope I didn't make you late.
No, you did not. I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to get over there in time. Thank you to Greg Pappas.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in. Discussion that got a lot more interesting than I anticipated before we started it. Recounts, special elections, and new/old baseball in the Mill City. Tomorrow, Bill Samaras will join us on the Daily Pulse. Thursday, we'll talk to real estate Ray Booten. Hot new property. Check it out inside Lowell's Facebook page. And then Friday, it's the Daily Pulse Live with Leslie and the fabulous Lindsay. It's every single day the show that keeps its finger on the pulse of Lowell and the world around it. Till next time, stay safe, stay warm. We'll see you on the other side.
There we go.